going with the flow. So Jerry McKinnon and myself, Tommy Sanders, we'll do the same as we wait for 10 boats to be released into foggy Biloxi Bay. This is day 3. When it's over, we'll have a co-angler champ and 5 pros to fish on the final day. This has been a taxing event with every element in the book thrown at these anglers. 2 of the big-timers who didn't make the final day, Randy Blockett and Steve Daniel, have agreed to stick around and talk about their sport with Jerry and I.
I'm still thinking about the comment Randy made about pulling in here at the wrong time this morning and pulling in front of the boats
that are leaving.
That are
Final
still in
bid.
the fishing tournament, and it kind of dawns on you that you're not in this tournament anymore, doesn't it?
Man, that's the worst feeling as a tournament fisherman. I mean, we're all happy for everybody that made the top 10 here, but we're also competitive, and it's like, man, I wish I was out there with them. It's just, that's part of our being as fishermen, you know. And do you analyze what happened? I mean, when you got one of these situations where you're not in the top 10, or is there any use in even doing that?
Yeah, sure, you analyze it. You try to see what your mistakes were, if you made any. Sometimes you don't make, you do badly, and you don't really make any mistakes. Like that happened here a lot. And, but sure, you always analyze it. It doesn't affect the outcome at all, but you can't beat yourself up on, if you give 150% and things just don't turn out right, you can't beat yourself up, but you try to learn from your mistakes if you can.
We had to change plan. We're up here in a river we never seen before. We run up here about at least a good 30 minutes from the salt water down there, and now we're just going to start fishing. And the water's a whole lot clearer than I'd like to see it, but it looks pretty, so maybe we can get a bite up here. One of these little backwaters or in a slough or something. So we're going to go down this bank here and just have a day of practice.
A day of practice, that means looking for new places to fish.
Yeah, you have to remember they're fishing tidal water, so sometimes you get a little rise in the tide and a little lowering of the tide. And of course, they got high water coming down from the north as well. They got all kinds of problems. They're fishing tubes for the most part, all pitching plastics, and we're covering Biffle and Daniels and Economo and McCombs here with a pretty nice catch. Also, Tommy, Rick Plun's in this top 10. Denny Breyer, we're strong, man.
Right, Marty Stone.
And these guys have lost time every single day, primarily due to the fog. But the wind has played a big factor here as well. So, as I say, everything is being thrown at them.
Oh, stay on, stay on. All right. He's not much, but it'll work.
Tommy Biffle on the board. These guys are fishing such beautiful places. It looks like they ought to be just loaded with big bass.
You would think so, but there's not as many fish back in there as you think. And we're going to throw up a map here in a little bit and explain and show where everybody's at. But there's no fishing in the rivers themselves, the Pascagoula and the Biloxi, for the most part, a little bit, but not a lot. Most of it's in these back bays.
Oh, God. Oh, I think I missed one right there. I don't know. It sure felt funny. It was right there on top of him. Net. That's the way.
Man, Tommy's just showed us why he's one of the top anglers around. He showed us some patience there on that fish. And he also showed a great touch. I have to wonder how many people would have felt that first strike.
Well, he is certainly getting himself in shape. The fish on Saturday looking pretty good right now. Meanwhile, Chris Daniels up the river. He's made that long run up the Pascagoula. Now he's trying to get through this cut that you can see right here and into his good fishing spot.
Boy, Tommy, you have to wonder about that long run up the river like that.
These guys are gamblers.
Listen, there's a handful of lakes way up the river. These guys are 2 hours from the takeoff. There's a handful of lakes up there that have got some bass in. So they obviously are fighting.
Well, what's it they say, Jerry? Pictures say a lot more than words, that's for sure.
Boy, he has his hands full. And all the time, McCombs just keeps pecking away at him. Man, is a limit of fish a valuable thing for these guys, and Johnny's well on his way.
You just got to wonder if today surviving isn't just about as important as catching fish.
I ain't had so much fun as the hogs eat my little brother.
There he is. Oh, lost. It was about 12-inch fish.
Make man.
Got it?
I got your rod.
I pulled a David Dudley. You gonna make it now? I just put it up there.
Well, we've dried out Chuckatawny. What that something. By the way, I think we need to give his partner,
Get in here.
Tommy Swinkowski. He gets an assist on that. Back into the boat.
Can we get a fish?
I think the big one's right there.
Well, Johnny McCombs pointing out fish, but take a look at Chuckatawny here. He's putting them in the boat.
That fish had
Well,
it.
you know what? He's putting in the size fish you really need. You don't need many of these. Actually, 6 or 7 pounds could get you to the next day.
Yeah, the size fish you need is keepers, right?
Right.
He was swimming down with it. Yeah, I was saying, what's going on here? Just wish I had some more time now. We have about 9 more minutes to fish.
Like the Johnny McCombs just staying in those little shallow canals there, isn't he?
Boy, he's hitting every piece of that shallow bank, isn't he? And he is close to a limit here. And boy, I bet there hasn't been 6 or 7 limits caught all week long, even in the qualifying days.
Well, that one does measure just barely. Chris Daniels, we see him here. He's heading back with no fish.
And you know what? We talk about the decisions being so important with all these guys in every event. And here's one that was made that kind of backfired. But I'm sure that he would do the very same thing again, and that is run 2 hours up to this place. Because, boy, you remember he caught 15, 16 pounds of fish that first day up there. So a tough one for Chris Daniels.
Well, that's why he's here. They want to win that big money. They want to win. They want to be the champion. And I don't think you're right. They would gamble tomorrow if they had.
I think so. And that is the way to be. Boy, you just really need to win. We were watching McCombs there fishing around Bridge Pier. And look at this, Tommy.
It's familiar. Wait a minute. Where are we? Just
Tommy
a second here.
Biffle is right behind us. We're looking at the Walmart. You're seeing our tent. That's where we live.
Go stick your head out and see if you can holler at him here.
He's on the Walmart pattern. Isn't that something?
Yeah, to me, it seems like, everybody that does well in a tournament, a lot of times they say, well, how in the world are they catching those fish? It just seems like a big mystery, like they've got some secret lure or secret technique. Most of the time, it's something so simple. They got one little thing they've keyed in on, and when you finally hear about it, you say, that was simple. Why didn't we figure that out? And I know, like several of the guys in the top 10, I know the areas are fishing. I've been fishing in there, and obviously they were aware of some of the subtle detail that everybody else missed out on. So it's usually some minor detail. That's the tough thing about it. It's frustrating.
It seems like the tougher the tournament is, the simpler it is.
Yeah.
Really? You try to think back. What I always try to do in tournaments like this, especially look back and try to relate it to another tournament somewhere. And the one that I was looking back at was at the FLW Championship the first year that I won, when 6, 7, 8 pounds was a big catch. And that was probably the easiest tournament I ever won. And I guarantee you, at the end of this tournament, whoever wins will say this is probably the easiest event that they ever won.
Jerry, that's going to be my first question to the winner at the end of the day today. Was this an easy win? We'll see about that. At any rate, here they are, our 5 finalists, and a fine group it is.
I'm Tommy Biffle from Wagner, Oklahoma. Staying focused in this event probably more important than it is maybe when they're biting good, because you know you're going to get a lot of bites on other tournaments, and you may be able to miss one. But this tournament here is so tough, and the fish are small, so you can't miss a bite. You can't lose a fish. So it's really important to stay in tune and stay focused.
Johnny McCombs, I'm from Morris, Alabama. I think you can get too focused on some things and start working against yourself a lot of times. If you'll just go out and just take it easy, you know, things will happen. And, you know, if they don't, they don't. I always try to find an area or, you know, fish the way that I know how to fish and the techniques that I know how to do. And this tournament here is totally different. And today I didn't even go to the area that I wanted to go to. And, you know, the fish have been moving up in there more and more every day. So tomorrow, hopefully, I can go in there and things will work great. So that's the way I stay focused.
Dale Teeney, Williamsburg, Ohio. When fishing is as tough as it is here, that you really have to stay focused, but you have to stay open-minded too, because what I've found is that it changes a little bit every day. The way I'm catching them and what I'm catching them on changes. Just kind of have to blend in with the conditions. You know, realize what's happening, and the fish are moving daily, it seems like.
My name is Chuck Economo. I'm from Palm Bay, Florida. Staying in focus is important in every tournament that you fish in. Up until today, I mean, I had just total confidence. I just knew that I was going to get my bites. Today, we had distractions, rough water, 25-mile-an-hour winds out of south, make a 45-minute drive in 4 to 5, 6 foot waves. But to maintain that, I said, well, I committed to it. I was able to get in this place. I was able to get a couple bites.
I'm Rick Klein. I'm from Avon, Missouri. Obviously, every event you should stay more focused. These type of events, I really go to what I call a 5-fish mentality. That means go out there expecting only to get 5 bites, literally becoming your lure, make the cast, the worm's sinking, till the worm hits the bottom, and move the worm. You transfer yourself from being an angler down to being the bait, and you know precisely what everything the lure is doing.
We're this week from Biloxi Bay and the Pascagoula River. Jerry, where are our fishermen?
Here's our takeoff place, right there in Biloxi. Clun is actually fishing behind the Walmart. Dale Teeney is above Highway 10 bridge. Both of them got to this water by the Biloxi River. Doesn't take them very long to get there. McCombs, Biffle, and Economo got to go all the way across the Gulf up the Pascagoula River. Economo and Biffle have a 2-hour run to fish lakes in this area, and McCombs is in Page Bay, not quite as far as the other guys.
There he is, Rick Clun, and as Jerry mentioned, fishing right behind our weigh-in side here.
Isn't that something? And he's been fishing for, maybe 15 minutes now. The other guys they probably haven't even got across the Gulf yet, Tommy.
No, they're still in the bay.
And Clun has a keeper in the boat. Boy, what a bonus that is, huh?
Yeah. Is that water as muddy as it looks to be?
That water is crystal clear back there. It looks like a mountain stream. You know, there's a lot of white sand in that area, and that's coming through, and it makes it look a little bit muddy, but it is not. It's really, really very clear, and boy, he will flip tubes around every single bush. Boy, he'll hit them 2 or 3 times today, I imagine.
If he can get 5 fish, it's mission accomplished for Rick Clun today.
One down. 1 down, 4 to go, and 1 kicker. Don't wish anybody bad misfortune, but just got to hope those guys can't get in those good areas that got those bigger fish. They shouldn't be able to, but you never know. If they don't panic and just go in some of those other areas, they can still do pretty well over there.
I think we can safely say this is a man who won't panic.
I believe you're right, and he's in that little piece of water right behind Walmart there as well. And what he is saying right there is that he's going to try to 12 inches to death.
Absolutely.
And then hope that the other guy's plan blows up, and it can. Anytime you're going that far, you can run into trouble.
Chuck Economo. And
a buddy.
Yeah, spectator. There's his crowd right there.
He is a long way from home now. He has, as I've already stated, gone way up the Pascagoula River, and he's probably 2 hours away. Tommy Biffle,
Still running.
still running. He is fishing a lake above where Chuck is at. So Chuck just got into his.
Coming up on the little honey hole right back here, just a little bit further. That's where I caught the 7-pound, 14-ouncer the other day. Maybe his twins moved in. About 3 of them. One 7-pounder might win this thing today, though. I'll pull right in here and slow down and see he's only on trolling mode. I don't want to hurt anything or spook anything back here. See what we can do.
Tommy Biffle only now beginning to fish after that long run. Johnny McCombs is optimistic about that spot. We just saw him in the spot that's treated him so well all week.
Might be a keeper. Think he'll measure. Think he will.
One more crack at the measuring board. We always say it's a game of inches. Today, I think it's going to be like 1/8 of an inch.
You're right about that. I don't believe we've ever watched them use their measuring board as much as we're watching. In fact, I heard about a guy in the qualifying day, Tommy, that actually wore out.
Just the numbers wore off of it. I had to get a new one.
But it has to be 12 inches long, of course, and these guys have caught so many fish that invariably will be 1/8 of an inch short. You have to throw him back.
Oh, number one.
All eyes are on us this week in Biloxi. They should be. Well, almost all eyes. Over here, buddy. There you go. We'll be back. We've got a lot to see. Don't go away. Rick, when we talked to you last night, and before that, you used kind of an interesting word. You said you didn't want to get disenchanted when you saw other fishermen coming in with big stringers in the first days of this tournament. That was an interesting choice of words. Does every fisherman, is he sort of enchanted? Does he have a fantasy when every tournament starts that's always gets sort of exploded or knocked down a little bit?
Well, I think so. I think that one of the hardest things as a fisherman is to be honest with yourself. Be honest with, and not you can being kick out a little bit, not being influenced in, by what dock talk or what other fishermen are catching. I mean, you really, sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong, but you really got to kind of judge for yourself what you think it's going to take to make these cut type tournaments, and be satisfied with that at least, temporarily when you make the cuts.
And when you think about your 30 years of bass fishing, are you past the point where you sort of get your expectations up too high? Do you think you're better at being a realist and getting to the point about what it's really going to take to make it to the final day?
I think most of the time. Sometimes you look totally funny though when you fished a tournament this year where I really thought it was going to be fairly, 10 pounds a day make the cut, and I don't think 50 pounds made the cut. So sometimes you're just wrong, but most of the time you still got to believe in yourself and trust your own feelings.
Well, obviously, making a long run, taking a gamble is not something you're unwilling to do. I mean, we certainly saw you do it at Memphis on the Mississippi River last year. But this year, you've got a whole different philosophy, a different approach.
Well, the big difference is how long it takes to catch the fish once you get there. That's the whole key when you make a long run. At Memphis, it didn't take you long to catch them. Here, it takes a lot of time to catch those fish when you get here. So that's the big difference.
Well, Biffle is one of those long way guys. Must be 2 hours from home, and he's also one of the few guys not flipping a tube. He's on a spinnerbait right now. He will be flipping a tube, though, Tommy, because that's what he does.
Got one on there. Is it going to be a keeper?
Yes, sir. Oh, man, that's one of them really beautiful fish. Don't you know they're so happy to see them that size?
Oh, my gosh. That's the best one we've seen today.
It's hard to establish a pattern when you can't really catch many fish.
That's tougher. It's tougher to catch a 1-pounder here than a big fish in Lake Okeechobee.
It's all relative to the
Right.
fishery, the potential that the fishery has. And I'm like Steve, I like fishing tournaments like this, the tough ones, because you can be fishing by the seat of your pants, so to speak, where you don't really have anything going, you don't have a real confidence in the area or technique, but you can still be in the running. I mean, if you execute and you don't make any mistakes and land every fish that bites you, you got a real chance of making the top 10 without being on a real strong pattern. And a tournament like Lake Okeechobee, if you weren't dialed into the right water with the right technique and have them really isolated where they were, you weren't even had a chance of making the top 75, let alone the top 10. So
a lot of people saw that tournament on Lake Okeechobee and think, well, boy, fish must really have been biting. Those guys were just good. They were really zoned in and keyed in on what they were doing. And the average fisherman could go down during that period of time and not catch very many at all. Those guys were really on top of what they were doing.
And we now find Dale Keeney coming out of his lake up near Highway 10 by way of Biloxi River. And I might throw in right here, I think this is a very good time to throw out a rule. You know, you cannot get any help to get back into these lakes. You have to stay in the boat. When you come out, Tommy, you can do almost anything, man. You can get out of the boat. You can push, pull, do anything to get out. No help getting in, though.
The bites today few and far between, but Johnny McCombs here, he's getting his share. There's almost another one.
How do you miss them when they do that? Golly, he drilled it. Bet he won't bite it again. Golly.
Oh, you get so mad because you know that was the big one, right?
Boy, you can miss fish in lots of places, but you better not be missing them down here. They are too valuable. You don't know what size they are, but who knows?
God. There's a big son of a gun right there. And I think it just came off, too.
Come on, Johnny. Boy, you know, you can almost see that fish strike, and you can tell by the way the rod loaded up that he was on there.
Yep, come on.
You know, we always hear competitors talk about fishing clean. Well, this is what they're talking about. Johnny has hit a little stretch of missing fish, and one thing and another's happened, and he'll probably be the first to tell you that he's not fishing clean.
Bite. Oh, that fish thumped it hard.
You think McCombs has got trouble? Check out this. This is Dale Keeney. Anytime you're out of the boat, it's not good, is it? It's not good.
And, you know, you look at the water and say, man, there's plenty of water to be running. He's about almost knee-deep in mud. There is some water in there.
Yeah, there's 3 inches of water.
Boy, that is a sight there.
Take a look at the scoreboard here. Tommy Biffle
goodness.
at one good fish. All it takes is a 2-pounder to be in the lead here. More than halfway through the fishing, Johnny McCombs, 1 fish, 1 pound. Same thing for Clun. Same thing for Teeny and Economo. No fish at all.
And you know what? Here, these guys, think of it this way. You know, the viewer is watching home and they're not seeing a whole bunch of fish being caught. You would normally go in this little pocket of water here, and maybe there would be 100 fish in there. And you'd catch 3 or 4 of them, and that would look pretty impressive. These guys are going in these pockets like this, and maybe there's 3 fish in there, and they catch 1 of them. That's, you know what, that's pretty tough when you think of it that way, and that is a fact. The fish down there are few and far between. As you know, they've had a lot of problems. They've had a drought. They had a really pretty tough cold winter, Tommy, and, you know, just had everything playing against them. So every strike these guys get, every fish they catch, I think, is a real feat.
Look at this little guy right here. That's going in the box. That's barely over 12 inches. It's just amazing. You never see guys put a fish like that in a box.
You know, it's even for everybody.
Back to Dale Keeney. He's back in the boat, but the boat is not going anywhere.
And look at the little canal he has had. That is not where he's fishing. Oh, my, he's cut his foot, too.
That's bad.
That little canal is just the water that he uses to get back into this little fishing pocket he's got. So, boy, what an ordeal.
That's bad. Dale will not forget this day for a long time. Hey, Dale, how's the heel feeling?
It's starting to get a little sore. The water was cold enough where didn't hurt too bad.
You were too numb to feel it, huh?
Yeah.
You're not still bleeding, are you?
Oh, like a sieve. Getting a little lightheaded, bleeding.
Well, Dale, maybe
Nice
we better
day.
pull you on in and we'll go over to the doctor. Or do you want to go ahead and finish out the day fishing?
No, I don't feel bad. I'm teasing.
You'll be okay.
Yeah, I'll live.
You'll live. Was that the first time you'd been out of the boat today to push things around?
Yeah. Yeah, my
And how
best spots, well, my 2 best spots I can't even get to.
Oh, my gosh. So there's been a lot of waterfall out is what you're saying.
Yeah, about 4 feet. It's on the bank. It's about 4 feet lower today than it was yesterday.
4 foot? Wow. Of course, it's very much affected by the tide then.
Yeah.
That's something you don't have to deal with at home on the Ohio River, but you said it's similar to the Ohio River. I wish you'd explain that to us.
Well, the river raises and lowers, but usually, you can plan on it. If they say the river's going to be falling the next 3 or 4 days, you can plan on how you're going to fish by falling water.
On the Ohio now. You're talking
Yeah.
about the Ohio River.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This goes down 4 feet and raises 4 feet, I guess, every day. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Well, tell us a little bit about how you're fishing.
Well, I've been fishing different every day down here. My first 2 days, I fished up at Pascagoula, up the Pascagoula River, and I was fishing a real little crankbait around the wood. And I gambled yesterday and thought maybe these fish would be close to spawning down here. So I started looking for backwaters during the day and kind of figured out the pattern around noon. And I had 8 keepers yesterday and lost 1 or 2 more.
Actually fishing for spawning bass?
Well, they're not spawning, but they're in position to.
Back to Tommy Biffle now, pretty much tied for the lead with Johnny McCombs, and he's making his move. There's another fish on.
And he is flipping tubes again now. Boy, he's buried back in that cover. And he's just about out of time to fish, too, Tommy. He has probably a 2-hour trip coming back. They never really know how long it's going to take them to get across the Gulf there, and so they have to leave a little extra time.
Talk about a guy who wants a win. He's finished second place in 2 of our tournament, our season championships alone. Our biggest top prize of the year. He's finished twice in second place spot.
Today may be the day.
When a decent fish bites, you feel a little pop, then you just feel slow, steady pressure going out. Some little ones, you feel bam, 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 running all the way out with it.
Dale's talking about his wacky worm method that has served him well all week long.
Anyway.
And it's a simple way to fish. Just a straight tail worm, no weight.
That's a good bite.
Throw it out and let it slowly sink to the bottom.
How come he's using a spinning rig?
I imagine where he can throw it on a little bit lighter line and feel it just a little bit better.
Well, of course, once again, that old measuring board is going to come out.
Man, and I want to say again that sometimes
And he makes it.
today, catching this fish takes more talent than catching a 5-pounder.
Leotini is on the board. Let's take a look at the leaderboard now. Biffle still ahead, 2 fish now, 3 pounds. Teeny right behind him with a couple of pounds of fish. There's McCombs as well. Clun with 1 and Economo still at 0. Tommy Biffle and Chuck Economo are right now full throttle on their way back. Biffle, of course, has the lead. No fish for Economo. This man here, Johnny McCombs, Rick Clun, Dale Teeny, they'll fish to the last minute.
Go.
Yeah.
That's worth coming in here for right there, folks. That in a way.
Yeah.
Lord, I'm pumped now. That's a big fish right there for here. It's a big fish. Let me settle down now. Make that big run over here. Something like that happens. Lord, have mercy on me. God.
Well, folks, Johnny McCombs has possibly blown this thing open with that 1 strike. It's almost way in time, and right now we're kind of wondering what the predictions are.
Oh gosh, today's awful tough. The weights weren't very big anyway. Bluebird skies, a lot of wind. I'm gonna guess about. I'm gonna take a wild guess. I'm say about 4 pounds.
And I bet it got a lot tougher today because that wind turned around and blowed out north as hard as it did. Boy, they're gonna have a bunch of low water.
I think somebody's got 7 pounds today. They'll probably win it.
I don't think it'll take much because the wind's blowing so much.
Between 5 and 6.5 pounds.
I'll probably fall out of my chair if I see a limit today.
Y'all know the secret for me getting here is my lucky rock. I found this the first day down here. I came down here. I got about 80 miles from the house, and my transmission, my truck went out, and I found it on the side of the road, and I've had it ever since. That's what's got me here. So I'm going to carry it with me everywhere I go from now on. Put it in my pocket.
And then, folks, let's go.
They got a real possibility of coming in here with all the lights on and coming in with nothing. I mean, what does that do to a guy's vanity and his ego and everything like that?
I think the guys that made it don't think about that.
They don't think about
No, they're thinking about winning, and regardless of what it takes, they just, if they come in with 5 pounds and they're in the lead, that's like catching 45 pounds somewhere. It makes no difference, those guys.
He's the most recognized face and voice in the outdoor world, Tommy Sanders.
Charlie, you ready for it? Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you so much for coming out. Wow. Woo! Man, unbelievable. Thank you. Man, we appreciate it. Golly. Thank you. You pumped him up, didn't you? I still have to give him $1 every time he tells y'all to do that. I'm about to thank you so much for coming out here today. What we're going to have here is a shootout weigh-in. We're just about to get it started here. We'll bring all our anglers in. We'll introduce you to them. We'll play a piece of video about them. And once we get all our anglers seated, our first angler seated in boat number 1 will bring up 1 fish. He'll set a weight. And the next angler, as we keep going around the horn, has to bring up enough weight, enough fish, 1 fish, 2 fish, however many it takes, to take the lead. As long as you can take the lead, you can stay in the game. One guy will be left standing, and that's going to be our $100,000 winner. So you ready to meet the first angler right now? Everyone who's a fan of bass fishing knows this guy. He is one of the best of all time. He's been around. He's been making a living at it for a long time. And anytime you get him around a river and around some shallow water and some fish and some tough conditions, you better mark him down as a favorite. From Wagner, Oklahoma, let's hear it for Tommy Biffle. Tommy Biffle. If you follow the FLW Tour, you know our next angler, too. He's a young fella. He's really just getting started. His career is just getting underway, but he has made the top 10 4 times in the last 3 years on the Walmart FLW Tour. And with this week, that's 3 top 5s he has made. This guy is for real. From Morris, Alabama, Johnny McCombs. Johnny McCombs. Our next angler, this is his second Walmart FLW Tour event. Fished the Ever Start, which is sort of our feeder tour, made his way to the Walmart FLW Tour, and here in his second tournament, he has made the top 10. From Williamsburg, Ohio, Dale Keeney. Let's hear it for Dale. Our next angler, like Tommy Biffle, is someone you need to watch out for on wild rivers when conditions are tough. He did it in Memphis, Tennessee, made the top 5, getting into a tough place and catching fish. He's tough. From Palm Bay, Florida, Chuck Economo. And our 5th and final angler, I can't think of anything else you need to say about this guy except more pro anglers list him as their most important influence of all time. He's got the credentials to back it up. From Haven, Missouri, Rick Klein. So there we have it. Our 5. Tommy Biffle's going to start us off by bringing up 1 fish. 1 fish, Tommy. Tommy will bring up a fish, set that weight, and what you got to do is you got to be the next guy up, bring it up enough weight. That's the way you stay in the game. Call it a shootout. The
because the guys just sort of get mowed down. We get down to the last two, and then there'll be one standing. Tommy Biffle, 18.5 over the first 2 days, caught 6.12 yesterday, and there's our weight.
This will get us started here. One fish, it's alive, weighs in at, make sure you get it just exactly right, 13 ounces.
All right, 13 ounces. Now, just when they're starting to have fun here comes the hurtful part. The hurting part is that there are rules and there are times that make bass tournaments run on schedule. Johnny, we're going to let Charlie explain what happened here as a representative of Operation Bass.
We do have an official Timex takeoff time and official Timex check-in time for every event so that everybody fishes the exact same amount of time during an event. It's calculated right down to the very second. And so for every minute late a contestant is coming in to check in, there's a 1 pound penalty deducted from his total weight. 1 minute, 1 pound. 2 minutes, 2 pounds, 3 minutes, 3 pounds, so forth, up to 15 minutes total disqualification. And unfortunately, Johnny McCombs in this tournament didn't watch his Timex time. He was late and disqualified.
Very painful. And Johnny, we hate it. Let's hear it for Johnny because he is a great guy. And you're looking at the future of bass fishing right here. There's no doubt about that. And Johnny, we all make mistakes. This one hurts, though, I know.
Yeah, it does. Hopefully somebody have more weight than I could have had, but, I'd like to thank my family and all my friends for coming down, guys. I'm sorry I came in late, but, that's the way it goes. That's bass fishing. Things like this happen.
Absolutely. Is that gracious, or is this a class act right here?
Yeah.
Hey, Johnny, have a seat. Stay with us, Johnny, because, hey, he still won a lot of money today. He's still in the top 5. We got a lot of good stuff for him. We all make mistakes. Johnny is smart enough to know that you have to have rules that apply equally to everyone in a tournament. That's what he told me. He's a class guy. There's no doubt about that. So, 13 ounces. Dale Teeney, 14 is what you need.
That should do it there. One fish, this alive, weighs 1 pound, 9 ounces.
1.9. All right, Dale's in it. Have a seat, Dale. If we get back around to Dale, so 1.10 pounds for Chuck Economou. We need 1 pound and 10 ounces, Chuck. Got them both open? Oh, no, not a 0. We've had enough. Oh, is that it? Well, let's hear it for him. Chuck Economou. Hey, everybody. Man, oh, man. Is that for real? You're not going to jump back there and grab one, are you?
No, I wouldn't do that to you.
You wouldn't do that to me? Tough day. You mentioned yesterday the distractions were heavy duty. You had a lot more to contend with today, even a lot more distractions. I know you worked hard all week. You're proud to be here, but I know you wish you could have brought in some fish.
Well, when you're in front of a crowd like this and representing all the Walmart stores, I have friends all over the country watching right now, and I want to say hi, everybody. It happened. Conditions changed. I couldn't get to where I knew the fish are at, and I tried some different things today, and it didn't work out. But I was glad to be. I'm glad to be here right now, standing on this stage for sure.
Well, we know that'll happen. Let's have another big hand for Chuck Economou. Chuck Economou. Chuck, we'll get you to sit up in the front of the boat there. 3 guys left. Man, they're going away quick. And Rick Clun, we need 1 pound 10 ounces from Rick Clun in order to stay in the game. Rick Clun from Ava, Missouri. 2 wins last year on the Walmart FLW Tour. 3 wins overall.
There's a small Kentucky bass that weighs in at 1 pound even, 1 even.
We need some more.
That's it.
That's it for Rick. Wow. Let's hear it for Rick Clun real quick here. I'm kind of shocked. It's not playing out the way I expected, I'll tell you that.
No, and it's really frustrating as a competitor when there's a bank out there and there's 1 or 2, 3 casts that you can make on that bank if you find it and the tournament's over. And I just never found it today. I had my strategy. This whole week's worked great. I intended to fish Pascagoula and just catch a limit every day, which I did over there, made the top 10. Then I was going to stay over here because I really thought I could catch better fish over here. I had caught better fish in practice. And the day when that water sucked out, that north wind, man, I said, this ought to be easy because when you don't have that much water, the cover left, usually holds the fish, and they're just sitting there real vulnerable. And I started, and about my third pitch, I caught that one, and then after that, it was just tough the rest of the day.
Let's hear it for Rick Klun. What a week. What a year. Keep Rick around for a while. Sometimes our shootouts don't last a whole long time. When fishing's tough, they don't last long. It doesn't mean they're any less exciting. I think this is a pretty exciting moment right here. Dale Teeney, 1 pound 9 ounces, is our leader. He's weighed in 1 fish. The only other man left in the competition is Tommy Biffle, who's also weighed in 1 fish at 13 ounces. He's got to come up with 13 ounces in order to take the lead from Dale Teeney. So, Tommy, we'll see what you've got. Yesterday, Tommy caught 6 pounds and 12 ounces. Dale caught 5 pounds and 12 ounces. That'll do it. That's a good one. That is a good one. No doubt about that.
1 pound, 11 ounces.
111. Why don't you just stay here, Tommy? We'll all stay and just hang around. It's all getting so tight, we'll all stick around. Now Dale has got to come up with 16 ounces, an even pound. It's going to be close. It is going to be so close.
Very close. 14 ounces for this fish. You're going to need one more to take the lead.
Tommy Biffle is your champion, ladies and gentlemen, right there from Wagner, Oklahoma, Tommy Biffle. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Did you have any idea that with that amount of weight that you could win this tournament?
No, Tommy, you know, we've had good tournaments before, but I believe it's the toughest one we've ever had.
It's the toughest one we've ever had, and I think the fishermen have been through a whole lot more. Now it'd be a chance maybe for us all to take a deep breath, think about the entire week, because you've had a great week. I mean, from day one, it's been pretty good for Tommy Biffle.
It has, Tommy. You know, earlier in the week when the water was high, I was getting in the backwater area, and it was awesome. I mean, the first day of practice, when I found the area, I made one circle around this little 200-yard pond and probably had 20 bites and probably could have weighed 25 pounds. I said when I went out this morning, I had that place I wanted to get into really bad, and I said I was either going to get in it and win or I was going to end up fifth because I was going to die trying, and it just didn't work out, and, you know, things worked out for the best.
All right. Let's hear it one more time for Tommy. We got lots more to talk to Tommy about, lots to give him. Let's talk to Dale Teeney for a minute. Way up there. Chuck Economou easily steals the day in the Fuji Flashback feature with that little dip in the lake earlier. But by far the big story around here is Johnny McCombs' disqualification for being late. And Tour Director Gail Stearns and cameraman John Reed talked to us about their side of it.
The tournament hours today were from 6:30 to 2:30. And no one could, if you check in later than 2:30, you're penalized at a pound per minute. And Johnny was 14 minutes late, but he had less than 14 pounds, which meant that we would have to take all his weight. But he realized that and was a good sport about it and realized what said to me that I know what you have to do.
When we left the parking lot here this morning, I was told that it was weigh-in was 2:30, or the weigh-in or the check-in, whatever time it is. And when we got around there, I was getting nervous about time, and I just mentioned, hey, you know what time is check-in? Because he left the boat ramp at a different place where we went around and met him. And he thought the weigh-in was 3 o'clock.
Especially when it gets down to the top 5 and top 10 in these tournaments every morning before they go out. I personally asked every one of them, is there any question in your mind about check-in, off limits, anything like that? And they all, if they have a question at that point, they'll ask me. If not, they'll say, no, I'm fine.
He's sitting there going along, and he pulls back, and the rod bends over, and you know there's a fish down there. And then he gets excited, you can hear him, and then boom, it breaks the surface, and there he is. He's excited. We catch a great big fish. And, you know, I don't know what happened, but 30 minutes, you know.
You can't make exceptions when you're fishing for $100,000. Someone can catch a 3-pound bass in 30 seconds, or in a minute or 2 minutes, they can catch another fish that will win the $100,000 tournament when the other guys all have to be in on time.
And I went like this, and he just you know, you could see the life go out of him because he just knew what had happened. And it's, you know, I can't imagine being in his shoes. I feel terrible being in my shoes.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.